Hello, everybody. Very glad to be here. My name is Barry Rosen, and I'm the Director of Product Management at HCL, and I cover the Domino portfolio. So I'm really excited to be here today. I'm going to take you all through our Domino version 12 preview. Now, just remember, everything that we're going to show you today is live code. It is going to be in version 12. There will be some things that we're not going to show you just yet that will also be in version 12. So this isn't the entire content of version 12. This is just a sneak peek. And we are about 6 months away, but it is really exciting to be here and to have the opportunity to show all of you what we've been working on for Domino V12. So in order to do this, one of the things that I'm going to do today is I'm going to assume the personality of Woodburn. So we've created a company called Woodburn. So let me tell you a little bit about Woodburn, and then I will use the Woodburn company to then demo all of the V12 solutions that we've been working on. So Woodburn is a medium-sized company. We're based out of Texas, and we are in the hardware business. We sell hardware supplies to stores across the US, and we do have a small presence in Europe as well. So, just like everybody else this year really hit us hard with COVID. We did have a certain percentage of our workforce that was working mobily, mostly sales. But everyone was working out of our main offices. When COVID hit, we really had to rapidly and securely shift our strategy to enable our workers to work safely and securely from home. And in order to do this, we wanted to use version 12. We felt like now is the time to go ahead and make that upgrade. We are still on version 9 at Woodburn. So let me go ahead and take you through that process that we did recently to get to version 12 and take advantage of all of the great features and functions. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and do a video demo here, and I'll just go ahead and talk over this. As I said, all of this is live. So the first thing that we did at Woodburn is we took our version 9 server and we're going to upgrade that to version 12. So that's what we're doing here. What you're seeing here is we're taking out the notes INI. We're creating a backup of that. And while we're doing this, I'm going to do all of the great configuration settings for version 12 that we're looking forward to. So some of those settings that we're going to do are two-factor authentication. We're going to set up two-factor authentication for our users, and I'll show that to you as well. We're also going to install and set up Nomad Web, so I can demo Nomad Web to you. And the other thing that we're doing is we're setting up Active Directory syncing with the password. So what that means is that all of our Active Directory information, including the user's password, will be synchronized with our Domino directory so that we will have a single source of truth, and we only have to make updates in our Active Directory going forward, and we never have to directly edit our Domino directory. So what we're doing now is we're installing the version 12 server. So let me bring that up. First, I'm going to edit the INI parameter because in version 9, we were still IBM. So we have to change some of those paths from IBM to HCL. But just like that, I'm going to go ahead and put that INI parameter in there, replace the existing one, and I'm going to start that server up. So just like that, I didn't have to lose any data. I didn't have to go from 9 to 10 to 11 to 12. I went directly from 9 to 12. So you can see that it's starting up right now. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and do a load convert. So that's going to upgrade us to the latest template design. And once that's finished, I'll be able to then go ahead and open all of my mail files, and I'll confirm that they are version 9. So here we are. This is the version 12 client. So as you can see, this is our version 12 code. So the first thing I'll do is I'll check the mail and make sure that it got updated to the correct template. And yeah, it looks like it did properly. One of the really great things about Notes Mail is the search capabilities. So what we did is we added, on top of the best in breed search, we added a cache as well as a type ahead capability. So you have your last searches and your last databases access cached. what I'm showing here, this is a version of our database that we use here. This is our catalog here that we use. And this is a version 9 database. And I didn't have to make any changes. I went right from 9 to 12 and everything still seems to work properly. I'm just going to test it, make sure that creating a new item works, and everything does work. So the next step that I'm doing in our digital transformation, and this is kind of a big one here, is I'm going to go ahead and send out the link for all of our users to install and use Domino Nomad Web. So what you see here on my screen is you should see the Outlook email, and in the Outlook email, you see a URL. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just click on this URL and immediately I'm taken to the login. So you see here, I've set up two-factor authentication. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and use an app called Authy on my iPhone. I'm going to get that token. It's a time-based token, so it does expire. You can see it's going to expire in about 20 seconds. I'm going to put that token in, and after that, I'm right into the installation and startup of Nomad. So Nomad Web, for the first time, when you access for the first time, it might take about a minute or two to pull down all of the elements that it requires to start up. And that's what we're watching right now. What you'll see is instantly it will recognize where my mail server is. I don't have to type any of that information in. And the next thing I'll be prompted for is my Notes ID. That Notes ID password has been synced with my Active Directory password, so it's really easy for my end users to remember. It's right about to start up. We're going to get prompted here in a moment for my Notes password. And after that, you'll see right onto my workspace. So it's taking my ID from the vault. I'll put in my password. It's doing a little bit of configuration, creating a cross certificate, and applying policies, updating policies, just like on a Notes client. It's looking at the ECL, and here we are. I'm instantly on my workspace. So now that is the first use experience. After this, it's just a matter of going right to your workspace. And here we are showing the same application that we had in version 9. We've modernized our inventory database that I was showing you earlier in the Notes client. And here it is with a nice modern UI in the Nomad client. So we took the savings that we had and the time and effort to roll out a Notes client because it's really easy with Nomad. And we took that and we invested in modernizing some of our key databases. So you can see that we've really done a good job with that here. It looks great. It looks nice and modern. And yes, you still can do mail. This is not the primary mail interface that we want you to use. We still have Verse for that, and I will show you Verse a little bit later. But if you are in a little bit of a bind and you need to go ahead and send a quick email, you can do so. You'll see in a moment, it is the basic Notes client, because basically what this is this is the C+ code in a browser. So we are running C+ code in a browser. So if you have an application and it runs on Nomad Mobile today, it will run without any issues in Nomad Web. The only blockers for Nomad Web would be Java, any kind of Java, or if you have DLLs that need to be called at the OS level. All right, so we have another demo here. So I'm going to show you Nomad Mobile. So I'm a road warrior, and I'm about to jump on a plane. And so I want to take my databases with me on my mobile device. So what I'm going to show you here is that same database that I just showed you on Nomad in the web. I'm going to access that on my mobile device. And what's really nice about being able to access these applications on the mobile device is that I can take advantage of all of the features from my mobile device, like picture or GPS or any of those functions. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create a new item. We sell a lot of pulls and knobs here. So I'm going to create a new test entry here. And I'm going to take a picture of some of the pulls that we just got in, and I'm going to attach it directly to this document. So these are really popular here at Woodburn, our brass pulls. So I'm going to use my cell phone camera here and take a picture and then just directly attach that to the document. So here we go. Look at those pools. Those are really popular here. And just like that, I can take a picture and add that to the document. I'm not going to save that because this is just for test purposes. So I am in a hurry and I do have to jump to a plane here. So I want to take this offline. So it's really easy and convenient to take these applications offline securely. It will be encrypted. So all of my data is safe and secure on my mobile device. And now it's offline. And finally, I really just don't like putting in my password anymore. So I'm going to enable Face ID. So with that, I can type in my password one time. My Face ID is enabled. Let's just make sure it is enabled. I'm going to close that up. Every time I open the application now, it's going to look and wow, look at that. It recognized, even with my beard, it allowed me right in. So that was quick and easy. I love that. So now we're going to go to another great demo. Here at Woodburn, our sales team, they love Teams. So, they have been using Teams for a while. So we decided to show them how to integrate Domino applications with Teams. So what we're going to do here is we're going to create a sales team for our Woodburn sales group. And I'm going to add a tab here. And to this tab, I'm going to paste the URL to a Domino application, and it must be web enabled. This is a web enabled Domino application. As you can see, I'm posting the URL right there. And after that, I have immediate access to my Domino application in Teams. So as you can see, this is our product catalog. So as our sales team is chatting about the products, they can also directly access, and it is powered by Domino within Teams. So last but not least, we haven't forgotten about mail. So, mail is still how we get things done. And Verse is our premier mail UI. It's our modern interface for mail. And this is where we're investing heavily from a UI perspective. What I love about Verse is the ability to just quickly search and compose email. I really also love the calendar capabilities about Verse. I love the calendar bar at the bottom. And I love that I can just at a glance see where I am in my day. And I can also just go directly to the calendar bar, open a meeting, or I can even schedule a meeting directly from the calendar bar. And we've also really worked hard at improving the UI. So if you want to schedule a repeating meeting, you only have to do so in a couple of clicks. We only show really relevant things. How often do you want it to repeat? Every day, and then how many weeks. So we make it very simple and easy to do these common things, these common tasks that you have to do as a knowledge worker today. One of the things that I really like about Verse that we have is sometimes I want to join a meeting, but I have to join it from my car. So we added this really cool capability where you can have a QR code. And what I can do is I can take the camera from my phone and point it at the QR code, and I can instantly join that same time meeting on my phone with just by pointing that camera at that QR code. So now I'm on my way. I'm starting that same time meeting with a single click, and I can join that meeting from my phone, and I can go run my errands just like that, lickety split. So that is the demo section of the presentation. So let me make sure, there we go, I'm going the wrong way. Okay, there we go. Okay, so that concludes the demo. So let's talk about what you just saw. So I'm going to go ahead and just talk about, in details, what did you just see? So one of the things that I just showed, and I really want to highlight here, is that upgrading is a snap, okay? So we've known this for a long time. This is one of the strengths of Domino, is that it's backwards compatible, and upgrading is super easy. It literally took me 5 minutes to do the actual upgrade. So besides the planning portion, upgrades are just a snap, as we said. Our motto is no application left behind. There is no application development platform like this in the world where it is this simple to upgrade and to continue to maintain currency with ease. So, we put in the effort on our end to make it easy for you to upgrade. We don't want to disrupt your business. We want to make it easy and simple to do your upgrades and your deployments. And we showed that today with Domino 12. So Nomad Web, let's talk about the client because, we know how easy it's always been from a server perspective to upgrade. One of the hardest things in the past and one of the most time consuming is the client upgrade because, you have to touch everybody's client, everybody's desktop. So if you have 10,000 users, that's 10,000 desktops that you need to go and make sure they get a client upgrade. With Nomad, not only is it faster from an end user perspective, 4 times faster from a deployment than any other Notes client we've ever deployed. If you put a Notes client installation side by side with the Nomad Web deployment that I was demoing, the Nomad Web completes in about 50% faster than a client installation from the start. So, we want to take your Domino applications to the browser. And this is the last time that you will ever have to touch an end user's desktop. That's why we're introducing Nomad Web. What will happen is you, as the admin, will upgrade and on your server, and then the end user will get prompted and they will decide when they're ready to upgrade. And it is as simple as clicking a button on the end user's desktop to receive and complete the upgrade. It is the same process that everyone is familiar with when they get a new version of their browser and there's a button that says upgrade your browser. You click the button, the browser restarts, and boom, that's it. You've got a new version. That's how simple it is. Also, you may not have noticed how fast it upgraded. It was super fast. We've done a lot of investment in the time that it takes to pull down the components that are needed to get you started quickly. And that's on a cold start. Once you've done the installation and the setup, after that, it is instantaneous. You literally click on your URL and you are in your application or at your workspace. This is just simply awesome. Nomad Mobile. So we didn't just stop here. Nomad Mobile was introduced in V12. So we started with the iOS devices, and then we added Android, and then we added the phones as a factors. So we're leveraging key native capabilities such as biometric identification, like you saw with the Face ID and with a Touch ID, if your phone is Touch ID enabled, as well as GPS, camera capabilities. Your apps work when you are on the move, and you can have the same interface that your users have, whether it's on their desktop or it's on their mobile device or it's in their browser. Your users will love the convenience and the capabilities of accessing their Notes applications on the go on their mobile devices. So modernization, let's talk about this. First of all, let's talk about apps. Why do we want to modernize them? These are business critical applications. You've been running your business on these applications, in some cases for the last 20 to 30 years. These are rock solid with security that no other platform can dream of. And yes, they were developed a long time ago, but the reason that you're still using them is because they work. They do exactly what you need them to do. But you know what? Let's bring the UI to modern times. So, first of all, what we would recommend that you do is use your corporate UI standards as a starting place. To make your changes, things like rounding off the edges, moving your menu items, and leveraging colors to enhance the new modern capabilities and the UIs that people expect to see today. All of this, and you don't have to touch the actual back-end workflow. All of that is solid, and you can keep the business workflow and keep it delivering exactly the way it did before. So remember, the focus is on the front end and the UI. Keep the back end workflow just as it was, because your business requirements haven't changed in that respect. So harmonious experience. We love this picture. If this had a mouse in there, it would just make it perfect, because this is just everybody getting together, you know, just in a super cute way. So I don't know if you noticed, but I showed in the previous demo, I showed using Domino apps in Teams, and also synchronizing your passwords with Active Directory. So, you know, as we go forward with this journey here at HCL, our goal is to make Domino more harmonious with everything that you do. We understand that you're not just using one vendor solution. So what we want to do is make sure that we work with all of your vendors in a harmonious and great way. Password sync wasn't the only thing that we showed. You know, we also showed the Microsoft Teams. So, you know, that's a huge thing, being able to pull your Domino applications directly into Teams and show people in Teams what you're talking about really makes a huge difference, especially when we're working remotely today. It's the way to collaborate. So, you know, mail, you know, we haven't forgotten about mail. HCL Verse is a beautiful experience in a browser. And also, you know, it is also available in a PWA. So one of the things that I didn't show is that Verse and Nomad Web, you can take those into a PWA and have a full desktop experience, and you know, have a separate launch and a window for your mail, so you don't have to have it in a browser all the time. The search in Verse has always been fantastic, and we continue to improve on that. You know, we're making that search lightning fast, and we'll continue to improve. And one of the things that you'll start to see, you know, in future versions of Verse, we're going to start working on the contacts UI, and we're also in the next version or release. I think we dropped a new version today, and our next version will be coming in first quarter, and that will have the ability to use your photographs in your name and address book to populate your important to me bar. So you'll be able to use the same pictures to populate your important to me bar, as well as your bubbles in same time. So you can have a single source in your name and address book for that. Chat and meetings. So speaking of same time, you know, one of the cool things that I showed was the integration of Verse and same time, and it's only going to get better. This is one of the key areas that we're going to really be focusing on now that we've put same time premium into the market, is making sure that the experience between same time and mail are solid and are really, really a first class chat and mail experience. So, you know, that demo that I showed with the QR code, that will work with any meeting, that will work with Zoom because it's just a URL. But going forward, we're really focused on integration points with same time and Verse and Notes as well. So Domino 12, you know, here's our themes that we're really going to be pushing, and you're going to see a lot more of this in the next 6 months. Apps that run your business. We know what Domino does. We know what Domino's bread and butter is, and we're going to keep doing that, and we're going to keep improving on that. So workflow for everyone. Every business user can use forms and enterprise data and workflows to build a solution. Your business, your data, your cloud. We are agnostic. You can run this on-prem. You can run this in a Docker container. You can run this in a VM. You can run this on bare metal. We don't care. It will run anywhere. It's Domino. That's the important thing. It's Domino. It's going to be the same no matter where you run it. GCP, AWS, you're going to see some slides with all of that on it. Better app and mail experiences everywhere. You know, we're really focused on the lightweight client of the future, which is Nomad Web. And we're also focused on web and chat and mail and chat user experience. So you're going to see a lot of focus on that coming up in the V12 timeframe as well. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go and get a little geeky. You know, I showed you some demos. I showed you some high-level business, awesome things that we're doing here. I'm going to get into some technical things. So then I'm going to close this out with some technical aspects, and then I'll take any questions that you have. So, as I said before, your business, your data, your cloud. So you can see here, AWS, OpenShift, GCP, and our cloud hosting partners. I don't want to forget our cloud hosting partners out there. So we have a whole program where we've got 8 partners around the globe who are hosting our offerings. And that is anything that you want: same time meetings, verse mail, Domino applications, connections, or any combos thereof. And they're hosting that in a SaaS model. These are the experts at this. And so if you're interested in a hosted managed solution of what you're seeing today, please reach out to our hosting, our CHMSPs. So the other thing that we have on the slide is backups reimagined. So let's talk a little bit about that. What we're doing in V12 is we're really going to work on making an API that allows backups to just work out of the box. So you don't have to worry about, does this vendor support Domino, or does this version work with this vendor? We're going to make it easy because we're going to do it. We're going to create an API on our end that is basically making this an open-ended solution, so it will work with any backup vendor. And then also simpler security deployment, and I'll get into that in a moment. So let me get to my next slide here. All right, so let's talk a little bit about our cloud native journey. So the slide that I'm showing here, if you see on the left, that's where we are today, Domino version 11. So we have on-premises and Red Hat UBI. We currently have a Red Hat container that you can download Domino in FlexNet in a container. And what you're seeing on those are the install slides, the screens that you have to go through. You have to click through to do an install today. So you've got your install, you've got your setup, you've got to configure your ID vault. Then after that, then your Domino server is ready. In Domino version 12, we're going to have a couple of new features. We're going to have a functionality called a one-click installation and configuration. So using a JSON file, you'll be able to completely configure your Domino server. So it will be completely set up and configured after running it in a container. After Domino V12, we're going to have a deployment methodology on Sophie. And Sophie is our HCL method where we're going to be able to deploy software in a containerized version, in a containerized way for consumption, either for demos or for production. So you're going to start to hear a little bit more about Project Sophie as well as we go through the year. All right, let's talk about Nomad Web. So Nomad Web. So, we showed Nomad Web, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the technology behind what we showed. So in all the way back in 2018, it seems like a very long time ago. It's only been a couple of years now, but way back, excuse me, I said 2012, I meant 2018. Way back in 2018, we introduced this on the iPad. So with version 10, we introduced Nomad Mobile starting on the iPad, on iOS. Then we extended it to the iPhone and then Android and Chrome OS. When we ported it from iOS platform to Android OS platform, we ported it to a technology called OpenGL. This is the graphic, this is what actually draws the screen on the operating system. So you see the Notes client on the Android client. And so by going to OpenGL, this allowed us to port it to WebGL. And WebGL is what runs it in a web browser. And we combine that with WebAssembly. And WebAssembly is what allows you to take that offline into a functioning application where you can click that on your desktop. So basically what this will allow is this will allow you to run the Notes client on any desktop that runs a browser. So as you can see in this slide, we've got Mac, OS, Windows, and Linux. So, any desktop that will run Firefox, Safari, Edge, or Chrome, you'll be able to run a Notes client in the browser. So in 2021, when we GA this, that will be the capability that you'll have. So here's our journey. So let's talk about the journey here. So, we showed some of the PWAs that we have. We've got Nomad for apps, we've got Verse for mail, and we've got chat and meetings. So we've got 3 PWAs that we'll have in 2020 and 2021, and each of those will have a specific purpose and a use case. In the future, we will be looking at a single integrated user experience that will be role and outcome based. So you only have one install, and then depending on your context of what you're doing in your work and in your day, will display the capabilities that you need to get your work done. So you'll start to see more of that. And a lot of that will, be with Project Uzo and those capabilities that we'll be demonstrating further in 2021. So let's talk about the security. So, we have 2 big security capabilities in version 12. One is Let's Encrypt. This will allow you to, free of charge, use Let's Encrypt certificates within Domino. You won't have to create or copy files to a server, and there will be no need to manage keyring files either. And then the other thing that I demoed was the time-based 2-factor authentication. So you saw that the token was expiring. I was using Authy to do that. That will function out of the box. And you can use whatever app you want, whether it's Google Authenticator or Authy or whichever app you prefer. You can use that for your time-based token. And that is one extra step of security when you're using the web that you will really appreciate from a security perspective. So we also showed the biometric authentication. So, this is available today on iOS, and it will be available on Android soon. You just have to enable the admin setting, and as long as the device has biometric capabilities, then your end users will be able to use either the Touch ID or the Face ID to access, instead of having to type in a Notes password. This just makes it much more easy and convenient for your users to adopt your technologies. So let's talk about Designer. We have in V12, we are doing a lot of work in our Domino Designer. I'm not going to delve too far into all of that, but let's talk about some of the specific features and functions that we're doing from a mobile perspective. So in V12, one of the themes that we're focused on from a designer perspective is mobility and the capabilities of allowing you to utilize the functions of the mobile devices. So what you can see here is with these at functions, these will allow you to detect the resolution, the height, and the width of the devices, so that you can customize the experience based on the form factor that the end users are using. You can also hide sequence frames. You can order the frames. We're adding those capabilities as well. So you can create frame set sequences that are displayed by default on mobile devices and hide or sequence them however you want based on the experience that you want. You'll also be able to programmatically make informed decisions on frame sets, form layouts as well. And then we'll also have an app platform function, which you'll be able to, if you want to have an experience specific for iOS or Android or whatever platform you want as well. So we're really making this granular from a programmatic perspective to customize the end user experience. So Verse, these are kind of, the capabilities from a Verse perspective. And, I just love Verse because it's just fast and modern, and it just works. And I use both Verse and Notes and Outlook and, Verse Mobile and iOS Mail because I have to. But really, at the end of the day, Verse is what I kind of tend to gravitate towards just because of the modern UI and the way that it works. So as I said, we're really focused on the modernization of the app. So we've had the focus on mobile capabilities, like I spoke of. And the other piece that we're doing is the modernization of icons, view list styling, options, and field types. And then from an X Pages perspective, we are going to update to the latest version of Bootstrap. We are aware that Bootstrap 5 is in alpha now, so we are considering 5 for post V12, but for V12, it will be Bootstrap 4. And then also I do want to mention that we are continuing our app dev pack. So there will be another release of the app dev pack this month. So look for that as well. I think that Verse just released today or yesterday, and I think app-dev pack's coming up soon. So Volt and V12. So we're doing a lot of work in the core Domino code to support Volt as well. And so one of the things that we did, and I showed you, was the one-click server install, so that you can, if you're not a Domino customer and you're not familiar with Domino, you can set up Volt very quickly and easily and hide the Domino aspect of that. One of the other things that we're doing that will also impact the Domino space is we're building a web UI for quick user management for Volt. And then we'll be able to incorporate that into Domino. So we'll have a nice, journey for a web-based client. We're not going to boil the ocean in V12 and have a full web-based admin client, but we're going to start that journey and start it with some simple capabilities like adding and removing users and groups. So we'll start to see that journey start with a web admin UI. So let's wrap it up here, and then I'll have some time for questions. This is our wrap-up slide. So, I'll just kind of summarize what we talked about. Business workflow for everyone, Domino Volt workflow UX integration, and our simpler security deployment. So we had two-factor authentication and one-touch SSL and TLS configuration. Your business, your cloud, your data. This is our cloud native journey. We are cloud agnostic. Wherever you want to install Domino, that is great with us. Domino works wherever it is. If it's on-prem, if it's GCP, if it's AWS, if it's one of our cloud hosting providers, which I hope you'll take a look at and contact if you're interested. We run no matter where you want it. We will run agnostically wherever you need us. And then from a backup perspective, we are going to reimagine backups in version 12 so that we are going to be out of the box compatible with all of the major vendors in version 12. And then better app and mail experiences everywhere, zero footprint apps in a browser. We showed you our Nomad Web. It's very exciting. This is going into beta, and I'll talk about that in one moment. And then also our new desktop mail and chat experiences, as we've seen. So our Nomad Web Beta, this has actually just started. So if you have not signed up, sign up today. Here is the way to do it. Please take a picture of this QR code and sign up, and we will immediately get you into our beta. We want your feedback. It started last week. So if you're interested, you can get this code. It is a hosted beta. So what we'll do is we'll send you some information of how you can log in to the environment, and then you can test it within our environment. Also, if you are a paying Domino customer, you are active on SNS, you are entitled to our early access program. And we just dropped our December early access program drop. Our EAP was dropped today. So some of the features that I showed in this demo, you can go out and test. So I believe two-factor authentication has been available. I believe some of the other certificate and SSL certificate management capabilities are available in that. We will also have a full beta, which will include the Notes client, which will include all of our translations, and that will be next month. So we're looking for a full beta in January. So look for that communication when we get back after the holidays. We'll have a blog and some communication, and that will be open to any Domino customer. So if you're a Domino customer, you'll be able to participate in our beta program. And then finally, if you are not on version 11, if you are on an earlier version of Domino, we highly recommend that you get to version 11. So please, we have Project 11. If you have any questions about upgrading, look at Project 11. We have a lot of great materials that will help guide you through this process. And if you have any questions, we have a whole program around this where we will walk you through your upgrade. So with that, I will wrap it up and say thank you, and I will open it up to any questions that we have from the audience.
Barry, hi, thank you for session. We have some questions from the audience. We do have the beta program of Domino V12, right? But
so we will have a V12 beta. It will go live in January. Today we have the early access program. The early access program is a Docker container. It's just server capabilities.
yeah, do we plan to do it for early beta program for client as well?
Yes. So there will be a V12 client in the beta in January. So it will be Domino server, Notes client, as well as Traveler.
Okay, fantastic. So can you shed some light on the future of, let's say, rich client?
Yeah. So, I can, talk about version 12. So we are investing heavily in the Notes client in version 12. We have a lot of new features. I didn't focus on the client in this particular demo because I wanted to cover a wide range of topics. But we will have, for example, a new workspace in version 12. So we would like all of your feedback in the beta. We're planning on 3 beta drops. Last time we only did 2. So we are trying to add an additional drop so we can incorporate the feedback earlier than we have in the past. So what you'll notice is we're doing a beta 6 months before we actually ship, and we're going to have 3 beta drops so that we can collect more feedback and try to incorporate more feedback earlier before we go gold. So we do have a lot of investment in the Notes client. For future past version 12, it's going to be really interesting to see because we're going to try, it's our goal to have open client capabilities in the version 13 timeframe. So I know that Andrew Manby presented yesterday and he showed some of the future vision and future roadmap, and he showed for version 13 the open client strategy where we'll allow Outlook and Apple Mail. So we'll have to see from a Notes perspective. Obviously, Notes is not going away. We're not going to discontinue Notes. We're not going to get rid of Notes, but it will be interesting to see from an adoption perspective which client our customers prefer. And that will really guide us from an investment perspective where we invest. We're not going to, there's no plans to get rid of a Notes client, to get rid of a desktop client, but based on what our customers want and what they adopt, that will determine how much we invest in each of those solutions, right?
Right,
So,
yeah. I think this question is related because of a lot of partners and clients. There is so big focus on the Nomad Web and REST solutions. So the Notes client is kind of in the shadow. And a lot of clients are not sure if it will be ditched or it will be still evolving and so on. So yeah, thank you. We heard you loud and clear. There is no plan to to discontinue Notes client. You have a lot of plans. Yeah, I think the search function you showed is great. I cannot wait to touch it and to play with it. And I think, yeah, so thank you for answering this question.
Sure. Yeah, we also invested in the startup. So we've improved the startup time, the cold startup for the Notes client. We've also, like I said, we're working on the UI. So we're looking at the workspace. And then one other thing that we're doing is multiple signature files. So if you want to send from, and also from. So you can change the from and also the signature file. So please test those functions in the beta and then give us feedback and let us know if we're doing it the right way or how you expect us to have those functions. And then we can work on that together.
Yeah, I smiled because it was my idea on Domino.
Awesome.
Yeah, we have one more thing. So it's related to designers. So you mentioned that the designer will be extended. There is some technical question. Will there be an option to add, when you hover over some icon, like money or like sum up, sum down, there is a small bubble coming up. And it will be just great if we can add a custom text, like please approved or coordinated or budget done something. So it's custom text, because right now it's just, I think it's empty bubble maybe, at least what I see in a question from audience. So it will be just great to, you know, to fix it.
Yeah, that's a great idea. If that, I would suggest putting that in AHA and letting people vote on that so we can track that.
Yeah, I will definitely do on behalf of person who submitted.
Thank you.
And yes, so and concerning the alternative names, it will be just great if we can add more support on alternative names, because for Cyrillic letters for Russian market, it's really important to, you know, to search from Traveler, for example, in a native language, because it works in the notes, but you know, just more support of other languages, of alternative language, will be just great.
And Russian will be one of the languages that will be V12 at GA. So please, we want feedback on the first drop. It is our goal to have all of the languages in the first drop of the beta. So if there are translation errors, please let us know as well, because, you know, it's hard for us, you know, as non-native speakers. We have a translation service, but you're the native speakers. So if we did something wrong or it's not quite right, let us know so that we can fix that before we go gold as well. So that's the other point of the beta, is to get feedback on the language translation as well as the functionality.
Yeah, Barry, one more, just a random question from my side. I know there is one question in Domino AHA which says, let's build one client with all languages included, like one installation, kind of like Notepad++. You run it, you select your languages, and all the captions are changed. Because I know that you have a lot of versions internally to ship, and it's, let's say, another tough task for you to prepare all these things. Because I'm just thinking that if somebody does not like translation, maybe, you know, because of the age, maybe because of the region he works, because there are some countries, sometimes they pronounce something differently, and it will just great if the translation are kind of like resource strings. You can just, you know, modify your own translation.
Yeah, we're looking at that in the future from a, you know, crowdsourcing translation, and then, you know, letting the strings be out there and letting people translate. And that would definitely save us a lot of time and money, and it would make it easier for you guys to get your local language translated to the way you want it. One of the things that we did do in the client is we've stringed all of the MUIs together. So you mentioned that, you know, before we had all these different versions of the client. So in V12, there's just going to be one client, and it will have all the MUIs combined. So it will have one installer. And so, you know, you can choose which language you want, but all of the installers will be in one. So they'll be changed. So that helps us. We don't have to, and it's also less confusing of which MUI do I need for which language and which combo do I need and those kind of things. So we're trying to simplify that as well.
Yeah, and one more question concerning the support of V9. I know that HCL has a lot of cool projects like Project 11, where HCL and another program is Domino Restart, when HCL helps to get customers on the latest version, get technology deployed by business partners. But as far as I know, the V9 is still supported, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, that's a great question. We have not announced the end of support for version 9. And so, you know, we are going to continue to allow that to be supported in the market. And what we will do is we will monitor the usage rate. So we have an internal target of when when the majority of our customers are on version 10 and 11, then we will make an announcement on version 9. It will be a 1-year announcement, so there will be 1-year notice. But at this point, we don't have a date of when we will announce the version 9 EOS. And, because of COVID and the way things are going, we didn't want to put any pressure on our customers to feel forced to upgrade. We want to give a carrot. We want to put the technology and the functions there, and then let them upgrade at their own pace because of the status of what's happening today. And then as we see that the adoption rate is picked up for our later releases, we will formally announce an EOS. But for now, there is no EOS. 9 is still supported. You don't have to worry about that September of 2021 date. The statement at IBM was at least until September of 2021. So we will go past 2021, September of 2021 for 9.
Yeah, there is one more question concerning the development and Java. We know that in V11 you moved from IBM Java to Open, right? Yeah. So can you put some light on what will happen in Domino and let's say Java area?
Yeah, that's a good question. So there are some caveats to the support of 9 and 10 because they are using IBM Java. And so, like you mentioned, we went from IBM Java to Open Java. And so we still have to go back to IBM for support for the IBM Java. And there are certain things that they don't cover for support. So what we will do is, and this will be published very soon, we're working on a tech note. And the tech note will have the details of the caveats to what is and what isn't supported in version 9. So like you said, there are certain aspects of version 9 that if you call in and it's broken, we don't have the ability to fix it. So, and one of those, like you mentioned, is the IBM Java. So there are certain things like, it depends on what the issue is. It's going to be case by case on some of the Java things, but, we will put a very clear tech note that states, here is what will be supported. Here's what will not be supported in version 9. So to your point, there are certain aspects of version 9 that, for example, when we first put out version 9, the supported operating system was, Windows 2010. So when 2010, we can't support that anymore.
Yeah, we have. And I thank you, Barry, for a great session.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was a great show. We have much more understanding for me, and I think for all of a lot of other people. The main question that the Notes client or main answer, and I think it's a top number one for me, that the Notes client will be still developed, enriched, but we are just working on opportunities. You can, we give, or HCL gives a freedom of choice, but still the Notes client, why we love it, all the solutions based on Notes will continue to work for another 30 years.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure. I really enjoyed it. And hopefully next year we'll be able to do this in person.
Yeah, we will do our best. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Good luck. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.